Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the South Star Classroom. We are on episode 202. So thank you for joining us, and good to see everybody. We got the full crew here today, and we are going to talk about all things Oklahoma. We're not going to talk about Buffalo, but we are going to talk about other or strategic oil reserves. But we are going to talk about all other things Oklahoma. But before we get into, wow, look at that. Before we get into our topic of the week, du jour, let's do some quick check-ins, see how people are doing. We've made it to September. We've made it past the Labor Day weekend. So, how was your Labor Day weekend? We'll start. Well, I'll give you a little prompt. We'll start with Charles.
That's the prompt. That's the prompt.
I was waiting for the prompt. I think the prompt.
How was your Labor Day weekend?
How
was your Labor Day weekend?
Got you. Okay, I thought it was. I mean, he said that and then said we're gonna start with a prompt. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm literacy. My fault.
Either you're backwards or I'm backwards. I'm not sure.
I am. It wasn't much of a vacation or break. It's just been very busy, but it was blessed. I hope people got to rest. There's a project that I've been working on, kind of keeping on the wraps, but there's a new, for those that don't know, some of the people actually that watch this show came from watching my, not watching, but listening to my radio show. I did talk radio for a few years. And I just missed that audio kind of space. And so, I do so much around education stuff. I wanted to create a space where I could do more, just talking about general things or whatever. There'll be guests and things on, but there's a new show called Color Conversations with Cole. And it's really, the structure is something that I'm excited about. For the video clips, it starts with just the news story, just the facts. No, nothing's added. That part's usually in black and white, or there's like a chime. And then when I go into my color commentary, the picture is in color, but I get to dive into different conversations. The first show that we produced that should be coming out fairly soon, I did a deeper dive on this whole Uncle Nearest thing. I wanted to, we talked about it here and started that conversation. But there I get to kind of dive in it a little bit, kind of rip it apart, without a time limit. And so it'll be things like that, things that generally interest me. So that's how I spent my Memorial Day weekend, just
cool.
Taping that, getting some editing and getting everything set up. But that'll be mostly audio only, except for some clips here and there. So that's what I did.
I see you've managed to stay alive through the weekend. According to President Trump, Chicago is on fire, right? And it's just like, it's like Baghdad in the 80s.
I mean, depending on where you go. It depends on where you go. But
and none of that's changed, right? But,
right. None of that's changed. I don't know how this is going to work out for Trump, especially if he really wants to go to those places, it's going to be interesting. But I definitely survived. But honestly though, but seriously, there was a lot of shootings over the weekend. Like in Chicago is known for, I've seen reports before 50 shootings, 100 shootings. I wrote a piece called The Killing Season before, a few years back. And so, like our conversation today, two things can be true at the same time. I still don't rock with that dude, but I also don't like, there's a serious issue that is happening with crime, but I also don't like these being just political moments because there's real lives.
Totally. Yeah. It's all about long-term change. I'd also like to point out, just to the viewers and to my other co-hosts, for a man that claims to hate the check-ins, Charles had no problem taking full advantage of today's check-in.
Yes.
Damn, baby.
It's called promotion.
Yes. Promote that ass.
All right.
Thank you so much, David. I appreciate that. Woo!
Yeah. I have a show to promote.
Say whatever you want.
Omar, how are you doing,
baby?
And I got a show too, man. It's called Fresh Out of a Cop's Ass and You Making Me Homesick, to quote Robin Harris. No respect. Actually respect to the police, especially in El Paso, because I almost had a whole scam happened at my house. It was crazy, man. So Yeah, all sorts of things, man. I've been busy closing on a house in Denver, Colorado.
Oh,
Closing where I'm at, but that's happening. Yo,
Wow.
I had this crazy thing.
are you
So,
leaving the school, brother? I'm sorry, I ain't not to jump in.
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
I figured out all the best of both worlds. I'll eventually be opening up schools in Colorado. Um, and
Wow.
I'm CEOing work in Texas and in Colorado. That's a long-term goal, but it takes a long time for these to happen. One of those things that needs to happen is residency. So, thus, an establishment of residency in Colorado, prove that I am a businessman looking to do good by kids in Colorado. I need to get one of my major goals this year is I need to get our damn LLC or S Corp going for the South Star Classroom so that we can start actually consulting.
Mm.
And I'm going to take that on myself. I just want to make sure that I can get that shit done. We have one under the guise of our work in a co-op of 4. That doesn't take much. It may take $1,000 from each of us because that's pretty typical to start an S Corp or LLC that's all put into the bank and just kept there to demonstrate that there's, ante in the game. So if I hit you all up for $1,000, just know that that was what it's going to be for. Full transparency. I'll give everybody the bank passcode. Jubilee, don't be taking that $4,000 and using it to make $25,000 with your genius. But do it. Do it. So yeah, man, dude,
Great.
quick. Fucking crazy shit, man. So I got this security system on my house called Vivint, right? Everyone's pretty familiar.
I have Vivint
Yeah.
when it
Straight up.
works.
So you got the doorbell thing, right? So
I've got Smith and Wesson.
that's
got
right.
that too.
I have that too. Yeah. I got Smith and Wesson and their friends fucking large shotgun. Yeah.
Wow.
It is big, it is Italian, it is black, and that is the way that I like my shotguns.
Oh, it's
and,
Italian and
maybe
it's
my
black.
women.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
my women as well. I'm saying I like equal opportunity when it comes to all things, especially ladies, man. You hear that? For the audience, that's crazy talk coming from the South Star Classroom. But anyways, this histrionic woman comes screaming.
Omar,
to the
they
door. I
asked
can
for this
see it on
check-in,
here.
brother. They can't blame us. They asked for
That's
this
right.
check-in.
That's right, baby. I'm taking all the time on this check-in. Take that. I love this. Is also streaming to my LinkedIn channel, which is like super professional. So talk about my diversification.
LinkedIn's so
of
boring.
lights.
It's fine, dude. Yeah, we're good.
It is, man. There's like one person watching it, and they're from South Korea. So this woman histrionically comes running up, and she's like, "Help me! I'm being chased! Someone help me! Please, God, help me!" And I'm like, "Chased by who?" My doorbell records no one behind her. My Tesla records no one behind her. I'm immediately thinking like this is some kind of scam. Because I don't think this woman is in danger. Why are you running up to my door in the middle of the daylight when there's 3 other doors right next to it? Just so happens that there's some packages outside my house. Well, I don't think she anticipated the cop showed up within like 10 minutes. And I had the whole thing recorded, and she looks real distraught, and her story's going all over the place. So now the cops are on that. I'm sitting here watching these videos. Remind me to share them with this text group afterwards so you can see what's up. Now, normally I'd be like, oh my God, we got a woman in dire straits. And at the time, I was concerned, like, is she okay? Cops showed up talking to her, so she's clearly okay. But then it's like the whole story starts unraveling with the cops, and I can hear it on my car and the Vivid. The story starts unraveling, and I get the feeling that she and a couple of her buddies are out trying to do some nefarious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what pisses me off about that is that, like, this is what gives dangerous situations a bad name and a bad situation. Because, like, if a woman is in danger, someone's in danger, I clearly want to participate and help. And you're hurting all those who are in actual need by running your scams.
That part.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
So
man.
crazy ass weekend, man. Shit.
Wow.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, Jubilee.
Right on.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
up.
having a grand old time being COVID free. COVID tried to kick my behind.
Oh, yeah.
Beat it back. I forgot all of my little, COVID regimens that I had in place. Steaming peppermint oil and chewing garlic honey and all. I make Chug-a-Lug with all sorts of natural things. Hold on. Some teenager didn't remember their keys. So here we are. Here we go. Teenage land. All right. Anyway, so I'm happy to be feeling way, way better. People told me about whatever drug they give you if you go to the doctor. I'm like, I don't want that. I want my body to kick its ass on its own. So that's what we did. Secondly, I'm happy to report that there are caterpillars on my parsley plant on my belt. Swallowtail butterfly, right? And so my mom is here. Just shout happy birthday. She can hear you. To my mom.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to the real star of the family,
Yes. So she is here with my auntie, and they discovered that there are caterpillars. So we went down the rabbit hole to figure out how could this be. Swallowtail butterflies came. They laid eggs. The parsley plant that I happen to be growing, in addition to my ginger plant and my lemon plant. The parsley plant is a host plant for swallowtail butterflies. Butterfly is like my favorite creature. So I think this is a blessing from the Lord.
Yeah.
Because now we have like about 7 caterpillars, and then there's some more eggs that haven't, moved on yet in their process. But I'm going to let them live there, and I'll keep you all posted. We have a family chat now to watch their process and their metamorphosis. And I really pray they survive. Like we check on them a couple times a day. They're really beautiful. And I really hope that they don't get dead, as I say, or that a bird doesn't capture them.
I mean, that's a circle of life. That's nature. You gotta let nature be nature.
Well, yeah, nature also is allowing them to complete their metamorphosis so that they can become butterflies for at least 10 days, however long they live. Their lives are short enough. Leave them alone.
Survival of the fittest. But got you.
Right. So anyhow, you noticed how Charles didn't comment on anybody else's check-in but mine, right?
I know. I'm sorry. We just heard about butterflies for 3 minutes. That's dope. I mean, it's cool.
Really?
I'm so glad we added a lady to our show.
You bother me about my check-in about butterflies. Anyway, let me compliment Charles. I love Charles's haircut. He said he's not fully spinning yet, but I think it looks great on him. So I will return kindness for meanness. Thanks.
Nice. All right, I'm going to use up my my check-in demonstrating for us and for our audience what this swallowtail larvae actually look like, because they look out of this world. That they look like a big old bird poop. It looks like a bird poop when they first come out.
Than that, but yeah.
Well, they change, yes. and then they start to slowly. You can see the face there, right?
Yep.
This literally looks like a bird poop.
Mine are yellow though. Which ones did you find?
Listen, hold on. It's coming. See that?
Now it looks like a tree.
And then they turn into the swallowtail.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
They can't. They won't be able to see it. That's
pretty.
how mine looks. Can you see
So
it?
pretty.
There you go.
Yeah, it's nice.
Dude, those are even prettier than the pictures, man.
Yeah, that's ready to go. Yeah, we've got those.
Right?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I'm hoping.
All right. Well, let's jump into the topic today. Let me get to my notes here. So today we're going to talk about all things Oklahoma, and so let's see where it goes, because I wanted to start on like I wanted to start on like one thing, and then I started dumping in more stuff into the outline for the show. We've talked about Oklahoma before. We're focusing on their state superintendent of public instruction, Ryan Walters. He's an elected official, and he's done a lot of stuff in the last like 5 years, but most recently he has he tried to put Bibles into classrooms. They tried to get this religion-based charter school approved, which failed. Now they're trying to they're going to try and secure a waiver for any like federal accountability, so no standardized testing. We'll talk about that. And most recently, they've uncovered what's called the America First Teacher Qualification Test, right? And we'll get to the test.
Oh, I'm taking it, baby.
Yeah, but to start with,
it is the most leading questions of.
I know.
Have you checked it out? I'm taking it right now. It is hysterical.
Like, how would you feel if the United States of America were removed from the Earth? Well, not good. You know?
What?
No, it's
Anyhow,
like, what was the result of this 1929 case? And I was like, 1929, brother, there's a lot of shit that's happened from then until now. How leading ass bullshit is that?
So we've got a lot of stuff happening in Oklahoma. And I mean, essentially, they're using Oklahoma as a test case to see how far they can push their agenda, right? But let's back up and let's get rooted in some basics. We talk about the nation's report card, otherwise known as the NAEP. We have data as recent as 2024, which shows that however you slice it, in reading for 4th and 8th grade, Oklahoma is like 47th and 48th out of 50 states. And for math, Oklahoma is about 44 and 45. So both, according to these standardized national metrics, students in Oklahoma are not doing well. And that's all kids. We could break it down and disaggregate it to look at low income, African-American, Latino, Native American kids. I'm sure it just gets worse from there. So students are not doing well currently in Oklahoma. And so the superintendent of public instruction, instead of investing resources in training around the science of reading and in getting better with professional development, they're going on this campaign, and they've created this, and I'm going to need some of your help here too. They've developed this teacher test, which is called the America First Teacher Test. And they've done it in combination with PragerU. So can anybody here that is familiar with PragerU give us a quick primer on what PragerU is?
Oh, Omar,
Yeah,
this is your bag, Omar. Yes, this is you were built for this moment. Tell us about Prager. He is about to go ahead. We want to learn about Prager from Omar.
Yes, we do. We do.
Give us the range.
Yeah.
So I was gonna joke and say that that PragerU was where women go get preggers, because that's kind of their like philosophy on life, which is basically a ludicrous Christianic, like a Christianic, ludicrously conservative place, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is real. But they filed this horseshit lawsuit against Google. I don't remember, a long time ago. Because Google's like, hey, your fucking videos are literal insanity. So they put up like, I don't know, but 1,000 videos that were like ultra conservative, basically talking about like the proselytization and talking about women and what women are, God and what God is going to do to people who don't believe in the biological nature of the way things are, quoting Bible verse. And Google's like, yo, I don't know if these videos are good or you're trying to monetize yourself from these videos, but the Ninth Circuit basically said PragerU is a bunch of mark-ass bitches. You lose bad, because you can't keep spouting off a bunch of conservative shit, not only in a better attempt to quote, say this is fact, because none of it was fact, and you were saying it was fact because it was all opinion based on religion, which you have a right to express your religion, but you were expressing it as fact, and then you're trying to monetize from it. So I don't even know where this like university is. Like, I'm going to assume some jacked up shit like Utah. Anyone know where this place is? Those are the details I remember of Prager University. You guys may have a better idea. I mean, there's also like some dude founded it, and I think it was something like nuts, like it was recently created, like out of nowhere, like within the last, I don't know, like 10 to 15 years or some shit like that.
Well, you know, the founder's Jewish, right? It's like Judeo-Christian principles, and you know, I think his name's Dennis or something. But yeah, it's just I'm just adding some color, just in case some kid is watching Omar. And they can't put bitch ass Mark on the test for what is PragerU. But it's a
I wish they would, baby.
It's a conservative online school with these Judeo-Christian philosophies that have gotten really popular, and as you said, have fought and won, or you know, these lawsuits they've used to kind of position themselves in more ways. And look, people got they crazy people, but the danger, David and Omar and Jude, what I'm thinking is the fact that they now are not just seen as crazy, but they're becoming this authority that get to like be in partnership and lock and step with Oklahoma State to create curriculum and set educational standards, which it goes from being a joke to now being something very, very different. But but I like your answer better, Omar.
Google where they're at. Yeah. Where is Prager University?
Yeah, where are they?
Because if they're online,
circuit, they're in the ether.
San Fernando Valley, baby. That's where their headquarters are at. The San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. I know they online.
Didn't Jordan Peterson have some kind of relationship with them too?
I don't know. God. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look it up. So they've identified. So this state, the state of Oklahoma has partnered with this PragerU University to develop a test for teachers, I believe, that are coming from out of state. So they're trying to use it as a filter for teachers that want to come in and work in Oklahoma's public schools that are coming from quote unquote blue states. So like New York, Pennsylvania, California. I don't think everyone's going to be required to take this test. So they're trying to gain a sense of people's political and cultural ideologies, which is pretty much insane. There's nothing in this test about like literacy or classroom management, or there's some parent engagement stuff. But let me pull out a couple of questions, and then I want to hear from you all, like if you've had a chance to look at it, what stood out to you. So one of the questions on the test is, what is the fundamental biological distinction between males and females? Right. Mm-hmm. And the answer is, it's like the ability to produce sperm and or eggs, right? Not and or eggs. And so it's not something that you would normally see like on a test where you're trying to gauge a person's ability to like work with young people and provide instruction and guidance and in academics, right? It's like totally random. But you can see if you get that question wrong, in their eyes, you're out of there. Mm-hmm. Omar can maybe speak to this one. So they talk about a Supreme Court case. According to the Supreme Court cases, Meyer versus Nebraska, 1923, and Pierce versus the Society of Sisters from 1925, who has the ultimate right to direct a child's education?
According to the 1920s rulings, which takes into zero consideration anything coming up from the 1950s, civil rights movement, the 1960s, later cases that challenged that in the 1980s, that one in the 1920s was about the parents. But that's how they put it, because it gives the right to the parents. Cherry-picked a court case from the 1920s.
Yeah. And those are real cases. Those are real cases that happen, but they're trying to link these cases from the 1920s to like DEI, right? And like sex education and all the stuff that's going on. So there's another question on the test about another ideological test. Should teachers be allowed to express their own political viewpoints in the classroom in order to persuade the students to adopt their point of view? Right?
Yes, that would be a poorly written question for anybody in academia. You're not supposed to lead people
that
to
is
the
a
answer.
leading question, not allowed in a court of law.
Yeah. So, I mean, the correct answer, according to the authors of the assessment or test, is no. Teachers should present facts, not persuade students politically, right? So, like, teachers are not human beings with feelings or emotions or viewpoints, and cannot have an objective conversation about real world happenings, and not allow their own viewpoints to enter into the arena, right? As an example. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this one, Jubilee.
This is dumb. I mean, it's just dumb. Even that question, it's like, yeah, but you all do the same thing that you're trying to ban other people from doing. Oh no, we shouldn't share our viewpoints. We shouldn't, provide any information that would persuade our students or our stakeholders or whatever. Meanwhile, that's the whole point of what you're doing, right? To help to push people to lean in a certain direction, believe a certain thing, think a certain way. Duh. And why are we talking about any of this, right? Why are we not keeping the main thing, mm-hmm. right? School. What is our problem in this country where we just can't seem to keep church and state separate, right? And politics out of it. Like, we have poli-sci courses, we have American history courses, government courses. Like, why do we feel like this is necessary for us to add this into the curriculum and add this into teacher training and prep when our teachers are overall struggling to teach the things that our kids need, like reading, writing, math, critical thinking, reasoning? Like, they're struggling to do that stuff, right? That will help to ensure that the generations to come are strong, critical mm-hmm. thinkers, decision makers, leaders, right? Entrepreneurs, astronauts, teachers, doctors, all the things. Like, why are we talking about X and Y chromosomes? Yes, we learned that in biology in 9th grade, usually. So what is this for? And I know the answer. It's rhetorical. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's dumb.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what it's for, but Omar, I'll go after you, brother.
Just a quick aside, because I'm not going to take what Doc's going to say. I just took the test, got 100, passed with a B.
You got a job, buddy.
Because I understand what kind of broke ass shit they're all talking about. They're going to send me a certificate. Here's the best part: these motherfuckers are asking for a donation to Pregger you.
Yeah.
After taking this test, to ensure
you might show up at your door.
We help fund in America that is America First, which is a fun thing that Reagan used and then ultimately kind of derived from, some Nazi shit, because the United States created that Nazi shit. I mean, what do I think? I think that this is a really good example of people going down a rabbit hole and supporting some bullshit. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Steve Bannon and I think someone else is involved, where they were going to privately fund the wall, and then they used those monies to buy a boat, hookers, and blow.
I remember that.
Oh man, America First, baby. And by America First, Steve Bannon and his needs for the nose candy first. I mean, that's what I think about this. It is just the stupidity of the distraction. And sadly, the stupidity of anyone going into this rabbit hole and thinking that this matters or thinking that this is going to make America a better place. Worse yet, the stupidity of forcing any teacher in Oklahoma to take this bumbaclot thing as if they don't have enough shit to do, thinking that this is actually going to help serve the country. The best part is the fucking backlash that's going to happen when these assholes take this fucking test, of which, by the way, several of these questions after taking it is on a basic nationality test. Like, what did the 13 stripes on the flag represent? I'm like, yeah, man, I know that shit. That's on an immigration test. When these fucking yokel shit kickers fucking fail. I can't wait. They're I hope that they don't cheat, because they're going to need to cheat. You're taking the test online. I guarantee you they're going to have to look up answers because they're like, oh shit, I don't know what the 13 stripes on the flag represent, even though I've got a We the People sticker on the back of my like shit kicker truck. That's not necessary. And they fail. Like I wish that this test locked them out from the rest of the internet so that we could show America that the rest of these shit kickers without fucking assistance failed miserably the basic tenets of America and failed miserably this national test, just to be like the very people who are encouraging you to take it would probably fail it miserably, yet the liberal who got educated in California getting hundreds. You bunch of bitches.
And you know what's happening in the backdrop of all this stuff.
That's what I think.
It's not just this test. So this test is, I mean, this sounds really crazy, but it's real. So it's real crazy. And I think it's easy for us to just be like, yeah, they're all crazy in Oklahoma. But like, this is a real test that's being required of teachers that want to teach in Oklahoma's public schools that come from particular states, right? And it's obviously a test that was developed in partnership with PragerU. PragerU, their curriculum, their video curriculum has been approved by the state of Oklahoma, not as a primary curriculum, but as a supplementary curriculum. So students have access to they have access to their videos and this and that. Teachers can, opt into it or opt out. But you could definitely see a world where what was supplementary and optional becomes the mainstream and no longer optional. Right? It's like that slippery slope, which is crazy.
Well, I mean, I think you hit it on the head, Dave, and I want to, I'm going to go a little further with that. I don't know if this is a term. I think this is a offshoot of what I like to call a civil code war. Now, for people that don't know, when I can educate you a little better than Prager real quick, a civil war is usually a war within a space, right? Like a space where we share land, so a country, a city, whatever. We're neighbors, now we're fighting civil war. A code war is more of an ideological, fight. It's propaganda based. It is people digging in, right? So so communism, like when communism was on the rise, like that was a part of like Cold War things, and like it wasn't that people were just coming up with guns on you, but it's an ideological war. So this is an act of that. This is basically saying, regardless if you believe this or not, this is a loyalty test. We're setting the stage for what we believe and what we teach here. We're setting the stage and setting the standard for what we expect from you. And this is why you need really good education and need critical thinking skills, because in the middle of these proxy wars or these code wars, there's going to be so much propaganda, and we've not actually seen this level of Cold War things happening in the digital age. Like this is not the 80s. This is, there's like, the other side can bombard you with propaganda so much easier. And so part of that is, this is the loyalty test if you're going to teach in here. And I think, again, this is where Prager goes from being a joke to like being actually factually dangerous. And I think that's one of the things, and I don't want to be wrong on this, David, or take up too much more time, but I think this is why it meant so much to you, because there's so much by this step forward, and the fact that Oklahoma is legitimizing their presence in this type of way it's a dangerous, is very dangerous. And I will say this, even if you are very religious, there are some religious people here. Like I'm here. I'm very, very Baptist. I believe in what I believe, and I believe in heaven and hell. And I also understand the importance of separation between church and state, because it's not whether or not what you believe is what's getting taught to people, but what happens when something that you don't believe is being forced upon you. I think that there was a whole revolution that happened that led to people coming to this place because they were trying to escape, persecution from kings and queens and religion. So this is why some people are freaking out more than others. And ironically, to bring it back, David, and throw it back to you, they're trying to redo history classes, and they can do that because history classes have been so bad that many people aren't recognizing what's happening in the moment.
Exactly. And so I've got one more question from the the assessment that I want to bring forward.
Well, we all cheat off of Omar's paper
and talk about. So there's another question. It says, what did the Supreme Court rule in the 2025 case, Mahmoud versus Taylor? Right. Mm-hmm. The correct answer, according to the test, is D, which states that the distinction between males and females is constitutionally significant and must be respected in contexts such as sports and privacies. So they're going at the trans issue, they're going at bathrooms, they're going at, sports. Let me explain to you what's going on here. That was an actual real Supreme Court case, but it had nothing to do with gender. Okay. It was decided in June of this past year. It was about Maryland parents that felt like they were forced to have their kids listen to lessons about LGBTQ issues in storybook time, right? The Supreme Court ruled that schools could allow their parents to opt out on religious grounds. It has nothing to do with male-female distinctions in sports and or privacy. Two totally different things. So if you're creating an assessment, if you're an educator, if you're a director of instruction, if you're a principal, you always have to look at test questions to make sure that they're not biased, to make sure that they're like actually valid questions, right? And the responses too. So this question, talk about leading. I mean, not only do they lead you to a particular answer, but it has nothing to do with the original nature of the Supreme Court case. So
yeah,
that's crazy. That's bonkers right there, man. That's crazy.
I mean, it's not that bonkers, man. Like if you are already getting jacked up by the Court of Appeals and Google is jacking you up of all people, it is par for the course. What I'm wondering is, like, this leads to I think a deeper seated question for me, which is, what's the take in Oklahoma? So now you've got this university that's tied into this curriculum, that's tied into this amenable state superintendent, all happening with Oklahoma, all with the intent of clearly creating legal precedent so that it goes to the Supreme Court so that they can get it approved. I mean, this sounds a lot more involved and nefarious than I think it originally sounded. Meaning, did the people who did, what was it, Project 2025?
Yeah,
like Steve Bannon and Jeff Sessions, did all these people collude a long time ago during the first Trump presidency and say, you know what we need? We need a patsy as a president. They got one. We need some dumb shit as the secretary, or excuse me, as the state superintendent of Oklahoma, or some conservative state. Like, where can we find this state? Where can we find this person? Found it. How do we tie it with some Bumbleclot university like Trump U? Found it. And then how do we create these moments that will then parlay into Supreme Court decisions that our Supreme Court, who's essentially bought and paid for, sadly, will pass and justify? That's a long game. That is a really intricate, long game that I could absolutely see being contrived and created in order to allow for these components to then be spread to states like California and New York. It's like, well, now it's Supreme Court. Now we can do it anywhere. Like, I'm wondering if that's the situation and that's the long game of these folks.
And I think this is where we can find one of these moments to, like, align with groups that, maybe I'm speaking for myself historically, maybe have not like aligned with on particular issues. But the NEA, the National Education Association, and the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, the Oklahoma educators, what's it called? It's called the OEA also. Oklahoma Education Association, not to be confused with the Oakland Education Association,
which Dave and I are both very familiar with, as they've attacked us personally before.
But unions are saying that this is essentially a MAGA loyalty test, right? Which it is. And so you have teachers unions that I always find it interesting, because when we think of teacher unions, we think of like Chicago's, the New York's, the LA's, the Oakland, San Francisco, the Detroit's, the really like blue cities, right? Really tied to like strong organized labor. But I know every state has different like union structures in place. I know Texas has their own thing, Oklahoma has its own thing, but the local unions have come out against this test. They'll probably challenge it in court. And I think it's interesting because also, I think in general, people in Oklahoma tend to be more conservative and probably more MAGA than the blue cities, right? But then you have their unions. I wonder what those backdoor conversations are, you know, in the union halls with teachers and the rank and file.
Wow.
This is so frustrating because it's, again, I know state control, right? They're able to decide what they want to do with their education. But I think it's disempowering, and it's why we are in many ways weak as a nation, right? Maybe one of the strongest military, but like when I think about other countries and like how they are able to keep the main thing, regardless of who is in power, right? That's why they continue to get stronger and wiser and are more well equipped than we may ever be, because we are swayed every which way, right? Depending on who's in the White House, depending on who's not, right? Depending on who's in control, depending on who's not. And it's like, what do we believe, like as a nation? Like, I know it's hard to come to consensus or like find a middle ground, but I feel like other countries like Japan, Finland, Germany, right? Like Singapore, like these countries, like I just was reading up, and it's like they figured out a way. They have strong opinions and beliefs and all that. Some of these countries, you go and drop a piece of paper on the floor, they might try to, I don't know, flog you or something like that. Like we allow way more flexibility and freedom in our country than some of these other countries do. Yet they have figured out how to separate, right? And be like, look, if we want to be the strongest, if we want to be the most competitive, if we want to be the best, we've got to be able to figure out who's governing this whole education piece. What do our kids need to know? What do our teens need to know? What do our young adults need to know? So we just are the strongest and the smartest, right? And then that'll transfer into all the other sectors that we want to reign in, right? Versus, you know, conflating all these things and mixing it up. And it's just like, no, like now we stand for nothing because we're allowing states to say, we're going to focus on this thing, you know, what's the X and Y chromosome? What was this 1925 ruling, et cetera, versus us being able to come to a bipartisan place, at least around education and what kids need to know across the K-12 spectrum, right? And so, of course, it's going to be able to get knocked off because nobody is being able to come to the center and say, okay, no matter what, no matter who's in the White House, no matter what happens, this is what we believe as a nation is important for our children to learn as it relates to the disciplines, how to read, how to add. Like, oh my God. Oklahoma. Bill said Oklahoma needs a National Guard presence, or maybe even Marines. Maybe
I love this comment.
Maybe they do.
Anyway. Send them in now. Send in the Marines to read to the children. But so you bring up a good point, and I want to get here now in this last like 15 minutes that we have. Like you talk about the balance of state autonomy versus like we are also part of a republic, right? And so you know, Oklahoma again in another area is an outlier in that it sounds like in the process of applying for a full exemption of standardized testing, right? Like nobody else, I don't think at any other state level has tried to do that. So it's interesting because I think what Bill also says is that when it serves the purposes, you know, MAGA they'll go either way. They'll go like state or fed. It depends on what issue it is. It's not really like an absolute viewpoint, but it's like a viewpoint of convenience, right? And so now they're actually thinking about, you know, considering opting out of state testing, you know, which is used as a dipstick. The state tests are not supposed to be used, you know, at the granular teacher level. You can have other systems in place. We don't have to get into it now, but like formative assessments, you know, that are constantly happening. That data teachers can use. State national testing, mandatory standardized testing, I believe is important. And maybe it doesn't have to happen every year, but it definitely is important as a country to get kind of a health check on, how our students are doing. Call it a dipstick test, So maybe it's not every year, maybe it's every other year, but it's not the kind of data you're really looking to like empower educators with. And that's the argument that he's making. But in reality, I think he just doesn't like the results that they're getting.
Yeah, man. Listen, this topic, man, I'm really glad you got it. And I know we take a time to, to get revved up, but that just means we got good chemistry, man. But I think, our side helped with that part. The liberal side helped with this whole abolish, get rid of the standardized or no child left behind, open. I mean, you and I fought that battle, right? Where we're like, you need a standard, like change it. But they kept talking about needing to change it for 20, 30 years. And now these other people are doing it. Listen, we all agree that Prager is out of line and out of step, but they're not out of step with their plan. Like these people plan and they're not stupid. And we made this mistake with George Bush because he said nuclear instead of nuclear and called them dumb, but they executed the things they wanted to execute to the T. I'm just saying, right? Like play dumb to catch dumb. And my thing is, listen, man, I'll just use this farmers thing. This is how I think about this stuff. I come from the agency standpoint of this stuff, right? Like, because I expect from them, like if a wolf gets into a chicken coop and eats all these chickens, who is the farmer more mad at? Is the farmer more upset with the wolf that's living in his nature or himself or his farmhands for not securing the coop, for not securing his most prized possessions, right? Like, and if children are supposed to be our most, if we're supposed to be judged as a people from that African proverb of how are the children, how are the elders, but we keep leaving them out for wolves to just go in and dance in chicken coops, who's outside of their nature? Because if I expect nature to take its course, I expect wolves and foxes to hunt like defenseless chickens and children. But like our side keeps being the negligent farmhand that wants to be, that has all these proclamations and do these things and talks about how they want to protect things, but they don't. We're not securing these children. We're not making sure that we're insulating certain things. Like this is what we teach. This is the national standard of what everybody should know. And then states can take it from here. They're able to do and move in these ways because we have not fortified the same way with Roe versus Wade. If Roe versus Wade had been codified, it wouldn't have been an issue. Or the same way when Obama went to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and said, hey, we need that seat. And she was so cocky that Hillary was going to win that she was like, I don't think so. So now when all this stuff gets pushed to a Supreme Court and it's a super conservative judge, one of the most conservative courts in the history of the country, you then can't be like, these people are not tripping and falling into this success, Omar, as you were pointing out, right? Like these people have planned this. When you're talking about white supremacy, people like to throw that word around, but read about empires. Empires, white people, power structures, they don't plan for a week. They don't plan for a year. They don't plan for a day. They plan in 100-year scopes. They plan, like I read something out of one of these books about education of blacks of the South. It said, if we don't hold these black people to be our labor force and educate them the way we want to, we're going to have to go and get a labor force internationally. That was something that was said in the early 1900s. And now we are where we are. So I didn't mean to go on that rant. I wanted to do it as well as Omar. I don't think that I could. But David, but this is the thing that I want people to get, because it's easy to be like, well, damn, that's messed up. Damn, these people are evil. Damn, whatever. But all the people that's saying that is in a comfortable position. What's going to happen to those people that got to actually live and go through that? Like, what's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to those people that don't have these conversations, just grew up or in and around Oklahoma, maybe came from California and just want to teach, and it's 10 years from now? Like, they're going to fall in line because they need a job. And so these things have consequences. And this didn't start last week. This has been a deeper plan is what I'm saying. And it's been executed fairly well. And I think how bad they look, how much they bumble, I think that that's part of the plan. I think they want you to underestimate them. Here's the thing. Trump might be stupid. George W. Bush might be stupid. But there are very, very, very smart, insidious people behind them that are very good at what they do. Keep playing games with these people if you want to. Oh, you were muted if you said something. Oh,
I was just being like, amen. Amen. And the thing that really gets me is I think purposely guys like us or people like us, excuse me,
and gals, we got
people
you.
Like us, we got beautiful queen with us. People like us will first pawn this thing off as stupidity in our own arrogance of education and intelligence. Be like, this is stupid. We should not be paying any attention to this because these people are clearly dumb. Then you go deeper and you realize, oh, no, this is acting dumb on purpose to have us basically, through ego, shoo it away, not pay any attention to it, pawn it off as mere stupidity without realizing it is a insanely organized and well orchestrated attempt, in my opinion, once again, to create Supreme Court precedent. If they have all these actors working in collaboration and organization with one another, much as Doc very astutely said, they're using the system to their advantage. And for all that it's worth, if Gavin is going to be out there doing ads to troll Trump, I think we need equal informative ads to be like, this is what's going on in Arizona. This is what's going on in Oklahoma. This is what could happen in Arizona. This is what's happening in Wyoming, where it's so far under the radar that no one knows about it. But people who do find out about it are going to simply pawn it off as stupidity instead of realizing this is quite a well-orchestrated and insidious attack that we would neglect and not pay attention to that could have far-reaching implications until we find out it gets to the Supreme Court, and then it's too late. It's too late. Is that Oklahoma's, dude, Fifth Circuit? That's a conservative-ass court. So even if it gets past the district court, fuck, if it's not going to get past the Fifth Circuit, that is conservative as hell. Probably the most conservative in this country. And like,
if it doesn't get past there and it goes to the feds, that's a conservative court. These people have been very smart and methodical and patient in a lot of different ways. I didn't mean to jump in on you. Oh, I just
hell no. Jump in. That's what this conversation's about, baby. Jump in. Talk that shit. I want to talk that shit.
So who can paint the picture, right? Like I know right now it seems like it's this little stupid seed, right? But if a seed is watered appropriately, we know it'll grow. So let's just say that it starts with this test, right? Like, who can paint the picture for our viewers of what it could become if we did ignore it? I know you all are talking about the Supreme Court and all of that, but just sort of build out a timeline, like
what it could be?
What it could become.
Absolutely.
If you were to say, no big deal.
It could become loyalty test. It could
for students
and for educators, right? It could become, if you say anything and it's so you start training students when a teacher does say something that's not in line and step to then point those people out. This is Gestapo shit. This is how
it's like McCarthyism. It's like people snitching on people, teachers snitching on teachers snitching on parents, students.
I mean, there's already some sites up, right, David? Aren't there already sites where you can report certain teachers that might be doing X, Y, and Z? And here's the other thing. Charles personally I do think there is somewhat of an issue of teachers at the elementary and middle school level inserting a lot of themselves on very young children. That should not happen. And again, you have to set a standard that relegates the left and the right. You have to set a standard of what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You can't, when you get power, do things that benefit you, because you won't be in proverbial power forever unless they pull off this whole emperor thing. But then the shoe's going to be on the other foot, and then they're going to do the same thing. That's why when people are talking about, we're just going to stack the Supreme Court, Biden should add more seats. Yeah, okay. And then Trump was here. What you think Trump would have did? He would have just added more. If you set that precedent, we are performing and behaving as children that are not aware of our history, which directly comes back to how poorly we teach history in this country. Nothing that's happening right now is new. Nothing. Nothing. Everybody has seen the picture of the native boy at the beginning of school in his native garb that still believes in his native customs. And then by the end of the year, he's completely westernized. You know where that happened before? In feudal Japan. Japan started out, there was a whole, I don't want to go into, obviously, I like history and I like reading these things. But when you don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. And I think, and this is what I'm saying. I can't be mad at, I don't like the wolf. You catch the wolf, you shoot the wolf if you see it. But when the wolf comes in the silence of night and kills all the chickens, you can't be mad at something living in his nature, like that damn butterfly that's about to sprout in your house. But if you're the person taking care of and maintaining, that is your job to keep the fox, to keep the wolf out. And we posture and talk about it more, and the damn wolf just walks right past. And then you see the wolf and they get scared.
Yeah. No,
was that a clear picture, Esk? I could do better. I'm just saying.
I think it was very clear. Thank you.
No, because I did, my passion kind of took over a little bit. But this is but when we're talking, when Dave is talking, David is an educator. Omar is an educator. You're an educator. Like, when you know that there are certain things that are true, and then you just are watching people get dumber. Like you're watching people. When what I care about, when I read so much about what happened and how people were flogged for stealing and learning how to read, or how Frederick Douglass learned how to read and why it was so valuable, to now watching people proud that they can't read, to making fun of people that can, and your neighborhood is going to be the next one on the chopping block. Like, it's frustrating because how do you start to turn that around? And you know, so David, you got me a little passionate, brother. Good.
No, job. It's good. I mean, I think I think my big takeaway from today's show, I'll be brief and then we can go into closing thoughts, is like, we're going to continue to follow this. I think Oklahoma is a very interesting test case, so we'll continue to come back to it. You know, it could be the canary in the coal mine, so we'll see what happens there. We're obviously like talking about it, uncovering issues, our viewpoints, but yeah, I think the next thing is like, well, what do we do about it? You know, like what can we do about this other than like be aware of it? And if it comes close to you, you know, like how can we better equip our communities to look out for these things?
I got
similar to like what they did with you know, going in with this like local school board, national school board campaign with the Moms of Liberty. It's all part of a big plan. I agree with you, Charles, and they're playing the long game. And right now they're winning. So I'll leave it there. Thank you all for participating in this conversation. And Omar, thank you for taking the test. I'm glad you're an A+ student. And I'll leave it up to you all.
For this camera, I give you a lot of shit. I say you're in caves a lot and somewhere. Your setup looks incredible today. Whatever you did, please continue to do it, and send a note for all of us so we can all have it look it looks really good.
It looks good.
He's got a PragerU Chromebook. That's what he's got. Okay. Closing thoughts.
I got Dennis back here giving me advice on how to cherry pick questions for my next assessment. Man, I'm gonna use that shit.
Lord.
Well, I can get out the way. I think my final thought is, one, great show. You know, and I'm glad that we got to rib each other. I missed you guys. I think my final thought is this, though. I no big statement, none of that stuff. Here's my homework. If you like to read, go find the audio book, go find the book, like read the book called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. It's one of the greatest things I've read. It is basically what I like to call just an agentic manifesto, but it's about this black man, this fair-skinned black man who embeds himself in the United States authorities and but with plans to like liberate black people or liberate his people. But any race can read it, and it's really good. There's a movie that's probably free on YouTube, but I think books like this and it prepares you for these type of times. And I just think we have to read more and become more of a literate country. You know, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly jump in and just simply say Oklahoma is a really fascinating test pilot for the work that I think the Conservative Party wishes to do behind hidden doors that will have a dramatic effect on the United States. And if you think that this is histrionic or a joke, or you're barking up the wrong tree, it's not a joke to these people. And it is not just something that is funny. It is insidious, with the attempt of saying we are openly, knowingly brainwashing you to a particular ideology so that we can essentially dismantle democracy, so that we can essentially have free capitalism, do whatever we want, no regulations, have no one restraining our nefarious shit so we can do anything that we want to do. This goes back as far as Nixon and Roger Stone. So if you don't know, now you know. Look up Roger Stone and Nixonian ideologies, and you're going to find out real quick what they've been trying to do for the last, I don't know, what was that, like 70 years? Nixon? Yeah, 70. Take that.
Yeah. What a loaded topic. To Charles's point, thank you to the wolf for showing us that it's a wolf, like in Little Red Riding Hood. And I think overall, right, countries that can successfully keep education above politics, they do a few things, and we could probably take a page out of their book. I think one, they empower independent education agencies. Like when I was reading up about some of the countries I mentioned earlier, right? They have a system in place, right? One, right? And I think both Charles and I touched upon this in different ways, but like, let's just figure out what we think kids need to know, understand, and be able to do by the end of 12th grade, period. It doesn't matter if we are Black, white. It doesn't matter if we're gay, straight. It doesn't matter if we live in the mountains or in the city, if we own a goat or a dog. This is what we believe the children in this nation need to know to be successful adults in whatever pathway they choose and however they choose to live their lives, right? And so I think that's first and foremost, us just being able to have a consensus. These countries, they empower independent agencies so that those agencies are responsible for the governance around education. It's very, very research-based, right? It's not opinion-based, right? It's research-based. Additionally, they're able to build cross-party consensus, right? Like I said before, they're able to professionalize teaching, and they're able to adopt long-term plans that outlast election cycles. And I think that is where we are stumbling, and it's going from left to right to left to right. And it probably doesn't need to be either left or right. Right. It's something that we'll need to come to the middle on and do the work around it so that we can stop being, swayed every which way every time a new storm or governance group comes. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. And I guess I do have some more closing thoughts, and I'll be very, very quick here with my
time, brother. You good.
With my my former like social science history hat on. I'm making this connection now between like Oklahoma being, this state that's way out in front of this like America First agenda, and then I'm going back and thinking about the Indian Removal Act of 1830 and the 5 or 6 or 7 tribes from the American Southeast that were forcibly removed off of their tribal lands, to be given land in what was called Indian Territory back then, which became Oklahoma, right? It's like let's take all these different tribes that have different customs and are accustomed to living in certain ecosystems, and let's send them to like flat and dry Oklahoma to fend for themselves, right? So I hope to God that there is a question on that test about the Trail of Tears, and if there isn't, then we need to get one on there. So with that said, thanks everybody for joining us. Episode 202, South Star Classroom. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Thanks for joining us, and thank you everybody in the chat and comments for the dialogue. It really helps us up here.
Yes, Alonzo, Bill, Miss Toya, all of y'all, please keep it going. Good job. Yep. Good job, Dave.